Hi everyone, it's Tara with Create Life Paper Words here, and this week is week 25 for my Project Life weekly book. So this week was really fun for me. First of all, I got to use my fuse as it was Father's Day, and I had a lot of pictures from Father's Day. The second reason was that I really liked the colors that I was using, lots of really soft blues and greens and grays. I've been finding lately that these are the colors that I'm drawn towards. And I think it's just because they're really easy to work with and they're really easy to embellish with. So I really wanted to do an homage to my husband for this week. He's such a great dad to our 3 children. So I took this picture that I had of him from last year's family pictures. We just haven't gotten, this year's family pictures done yet. And that was sort of my focus card for this week. And I also found that it was my favorite card after I was done getting everything set up. So I like to do a lot of stamping, and so what I did was I wanted to make a little tag for this one, and it says this photo, and I stamped it 3 times. So I stamped it first, and then I stamped it twice right after, and I find that just gives it a different, softer look to it. And then as I was looking at it after I got the card together, I thought, no, it's not quite done. So I took this little saying, it says, "I love you more than all the stars," and I stamped it around the photo. And so what I wanted to do is make sure that I had it masked, because I didn't want things overlapping and I didn't want things to not be on the picture. So that's what you see me doing right there, is I'm just using a piece of scrap paper to mask the part that I don't want covered. And then after I'd gotten all that stamped, I still didn't feel it was quite done, so I just added a few enamel dots to the corner. And then I also added this hashtag love from Colorcast Designs as well to the picture. And so I was just working on the placement of it and where I think it would work the best. So after I got that card done of my husband, I started working on this plaid card. And this card is from the Teal Lime Press, and it's from her newest collection, Dreamer, which I absolutely love. That one, and also the card in the top left corner with the dandelion is also from that collection. And those were definitely the inspiration for the colors for this week as well. So as you can see, I've been going through my embellishments, not quite finding what I'm wanting. I ended up leaving that plaid card to work on a little bit later. And I'm now going to the card with my son riding his bike. And I ended up using Studio Calico's Galileo. It says Adventure. And then I found a little ticket, and that was from a pocket letter that I'd received this month actually. And just sort of playing with them, and then I added a little geotag as well. So now this next card, right beside the bike card, that one I end up typewriting on it, so I won't bore you with the details for those. And then this card that I'm working on as well, that says Dad currently, and that's something that I asked my husband to help me with. And then I used the Paper Camellias little pink embellishment that says Everyday as well, just to finish that off. So back to this plaid card, still sort of working on it. I ended up deciding to go with a heart from the Baxter Collection's Vellum Hearts. And then I have these really fun foil sticker words, and I just used the one from today. I think that just keeps it a little simpler than what I was originally trying to do, and I really like the look of it a lot better. So sometimes you get those cards and you're not really sure what to do with them. You're not really sure where they're supposed to go. This is one that I'm working on. So I instead tried using it so that you can actually see the "oh wow" that was originally on it. So I covered that up and then of course did a little bit of journaling on the left side of it. And I find that it works better. It just wasn't really fitting, I don't think, for my type of style. So I really like this one stamp that I got from the Project Life Studio Calico Galileo kit. I've used it a couple times already, and what I ended up doing is using the top part and the bottom part, but I used them separately. So I got the captured right there, and then I'm wanting to make a little tag for it. So I pulled out my envelope punch and just made a little tab top. And then I decided to cover it with a little bit of washi just to give it a little bit of color. And I've got the date on there as well. It's always nice to know what date something is. And then I was feeling the card wasn't quite completed. As you can see, I'm looking at it, so I decided to add a couple enamel dots and one of the sequins. These are all from the Close to My Heart. And I really like the sequins because they are already backed with a little glue dot, so you don't have to worry about any of that. So that pretty much finishes up the left side of my full layout for this week. And I start moving on to the right side. That card is a movie review card. I had to make a couple little fixes because I apparently typed too fast. We saw Jurassic World. It was a really big day for us on Saturday. We had a nice full date day. We had to take our daughter, but we had the other two kids at their grandparents, and so I really wanted to document that. It's not something that happens very often for my husband and I, but it was really special, and we had a really great day. So I've got the movie review card, and I'm looking for cute little stars because at the bottom there's little stars. And so what I did was found some cork stars. They're really small and they fit really well, and I'm just gluing those on. I had to fiddle with them a couple times because I didn't want to have a ton of glue, so they kept sort of moving, and I kept having to put them back into place. And same thing with this card in the bottom right corner where it says this. I wanted the little stars to show what I had there. So this is something that I saw the other day when I was watching another person's process video. She did a negative space, and she had said she used her silhouette. I don't have one of those, so I used my Cuttlebug. But I have these alphabet dies, and so I pulled out the ones that say week, or WK for week, because I didn't think I'd be able to fit the whole week on there. And then I'm using the negative space, so I put a card behind it so that you have some color showing through. And then I've got my week 25. Actually, I thought it was week 24, and then I realized, nope, it's actually week 25, so I had to make that quick switch with my wood veneer. And then I felt it was a little bit plain, so I grabbed some washi tape and sort of in the colors that I was doing this week, grays, greens, and blues, and I just sort of ran it a little bit across. And then I always like to put the dates that my week is, so I usually go from Sunday to Saturday. I put that on a little tag, and then I wanted to have something else, so I used up the rest of those little ticket things that I'd had from my one pocket letter swap, and wasn't real happy with the card that I had behind it, so I went with something that was a bit lighter. And then what I did is I popped those up with some dimensionals, just so that you have a bit of depth with it and you can see the chevron green behind it a bit better. So I had to film this in 3 parts yesterday, and I apologize because this last part I filmed at the end of the day, and so the sun was coming in from the west, and of course I didn't realize it as I was working on it, but I do want you guys to see the final part of this, of everything coming together. So it's quite a bit lighter, so I do apologize about that. So now I'm just sort of going through and finishing up the rest of my pictures. I like to keep these pictures fairly light, so I just did a little bit of stamping on them, of course using my StazOn. Just sort of finishing up a little tiny bit of embellishments with some enamel dots. And then I realized the bottom left card on that layout was missing, so I went to find it and then realized I needed a little bit more on it. So I've got this tag, and I'm going to stick it onto my paper and then run it through the typewriter, and then I decided to cut it because I wanted to see that love it with the little heart that I'd stamped onto it. So even though this was filmed in 3 parts, I found that it went really fast, and I think the reason for that is that the night before, as I was printing out my pictures, I really was thinking about how exactly I wanted this whole layout to look, and what kind of embellishments I wanted to use. And so I did that for the whole night, and I'm really, really happy with how it turned out. I think it's nice and bright looking. There's lots of white space, which I like, and yet I really think the embellishments work really well together. So I just done a little bit more stamping on that top right picture, and then I decided that these little ticket tags that I have, they needed a 27 on it, and that's for the day that we went to the movies. And so now what I'm going to do is, I had all these pictures from my Father's Day. So what I'm doing is I have my fuse out, and I am getting the cards ready, so I want to know exactly how they're going to look when everything's all done. So I've got them in their correct pockets, and then I just take my fuse, line it up, and run it across. Do the same on here, make sure it's lined up properly, run it right across, flip it up, make sure that everything is looking correct. And I'm not going to do a bunch of journaling on those pictures. I find that they are very good at describing themselves. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to find out a little bit more about the products that I used, you can find me on my blog at www.confetticreations.wordpress.com.